Hey guys, so today I have swatches of the KBShimmer Beach Break collection for spring 2020. There are 9 polishes here altogether, so I will link the KBShimmer website down below, and then we'll get into the swatches. So the first polish is called Not Today, and this is a white crelly with rainbow multi-chrome flakies. This one is pretty sheer on that first coat. It is a crelly. I also feel like this has a lot fewer, and I'm not complaining about this because I actually like the look of like less glitter and less flakies in crellies. But I do feel like this has a lot less flaky than like other multi-chrome flaky crellies that I've seen. And good formula on this one. So this one, it does start to build up on that second coat. Again, still not a ton of flakies in there. There's a much more like sparse spread of multi-chrome flakies in this polish. I actually like that, but it also can make it a little bit harder to build up completely, so it just depends on your preference. I can still see through this a little bit on that second coat, which I think will get more sheer after it fully dries. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit, but hopefully you can see how the polish ran and pooled on the sides of these two nails especially. That's because I picked my phone up and held my hand sideways like the second I was finished putting the coat of polish on, and it caused it to run. Just a little nail painting tip. Keep your hand flat for a little while your polish is drying so that that doesn't happen. So this one did dry pretty see-through still on that second coat. The third is making it build up a bit more, but I'm going to let it dry completely before I show like the final product because I want you to be able to see if it gets more sheer. And you will want top coat for this because you should wear top coat with everything, but you won't need it to smooth those flakies out because they are flakies and they're going to dry pretty flat and they're pretty thin. So this did dry just a little bit more sheer than it applied. It has a slight kind of jellyish transparency to it. I can't see my nail line or anything. It's not that intense. But that is 3 coats of Not Today. So the next polish is called Water Relief, and this is a really light kind of turquoise color. It's got a little bit of like a green, slightly green tone to it, and then it has a lot of like green to gold iridescent flakies. And this one is also a bit sheer on the first coat, but there are a lot of those flakies in there. And pretty good formula on this one. I feel like it does take a little bit of extra care just to make sure that you don't get a lot of streaks or bald spots in those flakies because there are a lot in there. This one actually builds up really well on that second coat. From where I'm sitting right now, I don't see any like major flaws here, but I'm going to let it dry completely before I call it. And these flakies do lay relatively flat. They don't need to be scrubbed off of the nail like a glitter, but there are so many of them in here that you are still going to get a little bit of texture from it. So you will want top coat to smooth that out. So this is looking really good for me in 2 coats. You might end up needing a third depending on your application, but from what I'm seeing right now, I don't think that's super likely. So that is 2 coats of Water Relief. The next polish is called Sun-Kissed, and this is a metallic yellow with a red shift and almost a little bit of like a green flash to it in the bottle as well. So this one is definitely sheer on the first coat. One of my favorite polishes from last year was Stay Toasty, My Friends from KBShimmer from the holiday collection, and this is kind of the yellow version of that one. That one was pink with a gold shimmer, and this is the yellow with the pink shimmer. And good formula on this one as well. This does start to build up on that second coat. There are some brush strokes through that pink shimmer when it's wet, but those do go away when it dries. So I am adding a third coat here. I had just a little bit of nail line showing that I wanted to cover up. And the shimmer in here is really strong. So that is 3 coats of Sun-Kissed. So the next polish is called Where My Beach Is At, and this is one of those kind of neon pinky purple shades with a bunch of shifty iridescent flakies. So this one is a bit sheer on the first coat. You do get a good amount of those flakies. This does dry matte, but it doesn't dry like unusually fast where you have to rush with it. And for my photos of this, I have one with a regular glossy top coat and then one with a matte top coat because I was in a hurry and I wanted to speed that finish up a little bit. This one does start to build up on that second coat. It's still a little bit sheer though. You can see that matte finish. If you don't like that, you can always just put top coat over it. I'm going to end up adding a third coat here, but the more I look at this, the more I question whether that's entirely necessary. I don't think every nail is going to need it, but every nail is going to get it anyway. So I'm just trying to even out the color with this third coat. I really don't have any nail lines showing, but I have places where the purple is lighter than other spots where it's just not completely even. That probably speaks more to my application than anything else. And again, my photos are with matte top coat and with a glossy top coat because I was too impatient to let this dry fully matte on its own. However, with a polish like this, if you want the matte finish, I do suggest a matte top coat, even though the polish itself dries matte, only because you want that extra layer to smooth out those flakies. They're not like a glitter, they're not super textured, but you can definitely, especially when it's matte, see a little bit of unevenness from those flakies where they're just like, it's not fully smooth, and a matte top coat will help smooth that completely out. It will look a lot nicer than just letting it dry on its own. So that is 3 coats of Where My Beach Is At. So the next polish is called Lover's Coral, and this looks like a light, kind of faded pink holographic in the bottle, but once it goes on the nails, it looks more like a maybe slightly pinky neutral shade with a green shimmer. It's really weird. So this is a bit sheer on that first coat, but you can see that green shimmer is pretty strong. Like, that doesn't look pink at all. It does from certain angles, but definitely not as pink as it looks in the bottle. I think it's kind of cool. I was just really surprised by it the first time that I used it. And there are some brush strokes through that green shimmer when it's wet, but those do go away as it dries. And good formula on this one as well. This does cover completely for me in 2 coats. It's pretty busy with the shimmer and the holographic that's in there, so it does cover up pretty well. And don't mind that lump on my middle finger. I held my phone immediately after putting polish on again and didn't even realize that I did it until just now. Okay, I made a complete mess of my middle finger, but that is 2 coats of Lover's Coral. So the next polish is called Turtley Awesome, and this is a really bright, like lime green foil metallic, really sparkly, and then also has a scattering of holographic in there as well. So this one is a bit sheer on that first coat. It should build up pretty quickly though. This does have a lot of sparkle because a lot of the particles that are in there are a little bit bigger, but they're not like a glitter, so they won't be textured. So this one does build up pretty well on that second coat. I think it's going to be good for me in 2. It does look more sheer from some angles than it does from others, and I do still have a couple of really minor bald spots, but I don't think it's enough for me to do a whole 3rd coat. Depending on your application or how thick or thin you do your coats, you might end up needing 3 for this. So that is 2 coats of Turtley Awesome. The next polish is called I'll Drink to That, and this is a pink foil metallic. The little silver flakes that make up the foil part of this are a little bit bigger in this polish, so it has a slightly different look to it, and then this also has that scattered holographic. So this one actually covers pretty well on that first coat. It's definitely a little bit sheer, but there are a lot of flakies in here. This one does run a bit thicker because of not only how many flakies are in there, but because they are bigger flakies. I don't mind thicker polishes, so I don't think it's a big deal for me personally, but it is noticeably different compared to the other polishes in the collection. So this one, it does cover completely in 2 coats. There were a few bald spots, but there is so much going on with this polish. It's so reflective and sparkly that even those ones on that first coat were hard to pick out. If you were in a massive hurry and didn't want to deal with it, you could probably walk out the door with 1 coat. I don't think I would personally, but I think you could if you wanted to. So that is 2 coats of I'll Drink to That. The next polish is called Mermaid in the Shade, and this is actually a purple jelly base with a ton of this orange to gold to green and beyond shifting shimmer. So this one is a bit sheer on the first coat. In the bottle, I don't think this looks anything on the nail like it does in the bottle. You get a lot of that purple base, and that shimmer is very orangey gold. This might be totally not true and a weird thought, but I'm noticing with this one and then with Lover's Coral that looked totally different on the nail than they did in the bottle. If I look at the bottle from the side, it looks totally different, but if I look straight down from the top of the bottle, I feel like the color looks more accurate to how it looks on the nails. This one, it does cover completely on that second coat. With that second coat on there and the color a little bit deeper, that green shift that you did see in the bottle starts to show up a little bit. You don't see it head on, you can kind of only see it right there from pretty extreme angles, but it is definitely there. I'm actually much happier with this on my nails than I was just looking at it in the bottle. So that is 2 coats of Mermaid in the Shade. And the last polish is called The Tide Is Right, and this is a blue, green, purple shifting shimmer in a slightly blue tinted jelly base. This one is a little bit sheer on the first coat, but does cover pretty well, and it is very true to what it looks like in the bottle. The shimmer in here is really nice, and good formula on this one as well. This one does cover completely in 2 coats, and it does dry a little bit dull as well. There are some brush strokes through that shimmer when it's wet, but those do spread out and even out as it dries. And I do get a little bit of that purple shift. Again, I have to have my nails like at pretty extreme angles, but it's definitely there. So that is 2 coats of the Tide is Right. So I think Sunkissed is actually going to be my favorite, and if you had told me that I would be picking a yellow out of this collection, especially with like really sparkly polishes in it like these two, this yellow is just what stood out to me. As soon as I opened up the package and then when I have all the polishes lined up in front of me, like this is still the one that I'm looking at. Like my eyes are drawn to it. So that one is my favorite. That is the KBShimmer Beach Break collection. I will link the website down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later. Bye.